Hey VC, this is my soul and funk vinyl tag 2025, inspired by 6-inch Pianist and his 12 questions. He's right, there isn't enough soul and or funk in the VC, so here's my contribution. And actually there hasn't been enough of me in the VC it's been almost a year since my last VC video upload. Combination of being busy at work, busy with the usual family commitments, and actually finishing off this man cave, which I'll shortly in the next few weeks do a room tour video upload of. But anyway, without further ado, 12 questions in the soul and funk vinyl tag 2025 is Saturday Night Record. Good choice from 6-inch Pianist on Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. I want to go for another Quincy Jones production, which is Give Me the Night by George Benson. Probably the culmination of that soul, that smooth soul sound from George Benson. There's kind of a triumvirate of George Benson LPs that you should get. The first two produced by Tommy LaPuma, Breezin' and In Flight. Breezin's more of a guitar instrumental album with some vocals on it. In Flight starts to move that dial more towards soul, but the culmination was this collaboration with Quincy Jones on Give Me the Night. Very much that sound that Quincy was procuring for Brothers Johnson, and then obviously most successfully with Michael Jackson. But couple that with Benson's innate ability, both as a vocalist, guitarist, and as a composer himself, it's just an amazing record, and again would be a lovely upbeat album for a party. The sequencing is really good too. So yeah, George Benson, Give Me the Night, 1980 I think this was, but very much a Quincy Jones production. So going to the day following, how do you recover with a hangover and select a Sunday morning records to blow away those cobwebs from the heavy Saturday night? And I've gone for a 1975 LP by one of the soul greats, Smokey Robinson, Without the Miracles, and this is A Quiet Storm. Very much revitalised Smokey's career in the mid-70s, like a jump-off point for his 70s stuff. So much so influential was this LP that there was actual subgenre of soul named Quiet Storm, named after this LP. And it is what it says on the tin. It's really soulful, wistful, powerful, hence the storm, but quietly involving music, and very much plays to Smokey's strength. He's still on the Motown label. I think he always has been on the Motown label. But yeah, it'd be great to get up on a Sunday morning, make yourself some eggs, nice cup of coffee, a cup of Joe's, they say in the US, and play A Quiet Storm by Smokey Robinson. I mean, this sound really percolated right through to artists like D'Angelo and his sound on albums like Voodoo and Erykah Badu and others who picked up on what Smokey was doing here. So he really did have a massive influence decades after releasing this 1975 album. Next question was a soul or funk cover version. I'm going to choose a track originally written by Jimmy Webb and most famously covered by Glenn Campbell. But I'm pretty sure that this was the only version that was almost 19 minutes long and included about 8 to 7 minutes of a rap at the start, and that is the version of By the Time I Get to Phoenix by Isaac Hayes on the superb classic soul album Hot Buttered Soul. So yeah, almost 90 minutes long. One of those famous Isaac Hayes raps at the start of it, where he sets the scene and tells a full story, when the band kind of quietly simmers in the background and then eventually turns into this massive soul epic. But I mean, this whole LP, actually, Hot Buttered Soul, belongs in any serious soul collection. This is a Stax UK original pressing, and this is also part of a three album cycle that you should investigate. So Hot Buttered Soul, the first of those, in 1969. Then he released an LP named Movement, the same band, similar sound, and finished it with To Be Continued. So the fact that he finished it with an album named To Be Continued is very much shows that he meant this to be part of a trilogy of albums. So yeah, obviously there's The Shaft as well. There's a lot of great Isaac Hayes LPs, but Hot Buttered Soul I think is the best of that trilogy. And By the Time I Get to Phoenix is a wonderful lengthy slow burn cover version, which is my choice. Car chase music. I couldn't think of a better one than the famous second track from Mandrill's Conversate Truth, which is Fence Walk. Because it starts basically with something that sounds like a car crash of horns at the start, and it simmers through the rest of it, and it would be a juggernaut of a song to put your foot to the floor on, legally of course within speed limits. So yeah, I mean Mandrill, amazing New York funk outfit, really Afrocentric too. I mean, look at how they're dressed. But Conversate Truth was probably the biggest LP, I think, because of Fence Walk being a big 70s funk track at the time. But it's a really good LP. This is a reissue, but it's a really good one. I think it's probably digitally sourced, but it sounds amazing. Who cares when the music's this good? But yeah, Fence Walk by Mandrill from the album Conversate Truth, I think from 1973 or thereabouts, would be a great song to drive to. But you have to keep your eye on the road because of how propulsive that track is. What is the next question? Who are the best dressed solo funk band or album cover with an artist that just looks great on the cover? And I'll go for an album a band that were like chameleons when it comes to both their sound and their aesthetic, and that's the Isley Brothers. But no more so on 1973's 3+3, again a classic funk album really that belongs in any collection. And what was notable about this was that it was a mixture of the old school three-piece that were originally Isley Brothers with their cousins who provided some of the instrumental backdrops. So they went from a three-piece to a six-piece, hence the title 3+3. This is really the album that cemented that sound. They made a number of really good and really successful LPs following 3+3, on a collaboration between their T-Neck Records label and Epic Records. But yeah, 3+3 by Isley Brothers, not just because of the way they dress, but also because they look great on the front cover. The horn section, I take your pick on the number of great funk in particular bands and albums that have great horn sections, but the one that's always got me tapping my feet or dancing around the room for the neighbours to see is the Horns on All in All by Earth, Wind and Fire. Massive production when the band were at the peak, and the stabbing horns throughout this and the meat of the horns. Very produced, so you might associate big horn sections with a kind of early 70s, rough sound, but this was late 70s and very produced, but none the less effective. Listen to the track Jupiter and the horn start at the start of that, and crank it up on the hi-fi. I mean, it's just the control that they have over the horn section too throughout this. Obviously Morris White played a big part as the arranger, but yeah, amazing. This whole LP is fantastic, start to finish, really consistent album. I'll get this, and there's a number of great Earth, Wind and Fire LPs in this whole opinion, but the two I would start with if you haven't got any Earth, Wind and Fire or All in All, and the follow-up, I Am is even more produced, so slightly more, in my opinion, towards the top of the pile in terms of Earth, Wind and Fire LPs. Is slightly higher, would be All in All, which I think is from 1978, I want to say, or was it 79? I think it's 78. Absolutely amazing LP with great horn sections. Blue-Eyed Soul, I would have chosen Average White Band because they're one of my favourite bands, one of my favourite funk bands, and I've got 8 of their LPs, and I saw them on their final UK tour leg of their world tour this year, before they retire, and they were absolutely sensational. But already chosen by 6-inch Pianist. So I've gone with a band that I've always regarded, or a duo that I've always regarded highly, who I think are wrongly pigeonholed or not given their due, although that is changing a bit, and that's Darryl Hall and John Oates. Hall and Oates in the 80s were synonymous with a really slick pop sound, songs like I Can't Go For That and Man Eater and Out of Touch, and I get that, but actually they started off on the Atlantic Records label in the early 70s, signed and produced by Ruth Martin of Atlantic Records, and their second LP, Abandoned Luncheonette, is an absolute soul classic. It's Blue-Eyed Soul in every respect. It's got some experimentation on it, some long tracks as well, but She's Gone's on this, the extended original version, of She's Gone, and their ability to harmonise with these massive horrific modern produced strings in the background and amazing songs. So Abandon of Jeanette is a forgotten classic in some respects, I think, probably because they're white, understandably not really playing to that black market at the time, and B, because their 80s pop stuff probably overshadows or doesn't equate their earlier stuff with something that might be so. But Abandon of Jeanette is an amazing blue-eyed soul LP on the Atlantic Records label, UK original pressing, absolutely gorgeous stuff. Right, question number 8. If I knew nothing about soul music, or you knew nothing about soul music, what album would I suggest that you started with? And I couldn't really, this was instantaneous. I think the obvious thing to do would be to start with, some people might say, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, because it appears on, towards the top of best album ever lists. But that's quite a difficult soul LP to start with if you know nothing about soul. So it's an amazing album, an absolutely sensational album, but it'll take you 10 listens to get into what it's doing, because it's quite an unusual sound. But in terms of something that personifies what soul is and would get you immediately to want to buy more soul music, I would say I would go for I Never Loved a Man, The Way I Loved You, I Love You by Aretha Franklin. Her 10th album, but first, importantly for Atlantic Records, first in Muscle Shoals, first to be produced by Jerry Wexler, and it's absolutely sensational. Everything from this massive Atlantic soul production sound with the Atlantic Muscle Shoals band behind her, to her voice is just on absolute top form for this, whether she's singing a beautiful soul ballad or something bluesy like the title track, or obviously the massive hit, which is Respect. She's just a soul singer, in fact I would say one of the top 3 soul singers ever, and at this time at the peak of her powers. So original UK pressing, proud to have that, but I also have the Vinyl Me Please mono. This is a mono. I also have the Vinyl Me Please repress of this mono, and I've back to back them, and I can't tell the difference. So whether you pick up an original Plum label pressing for, it might cost about £30, or the Vinyl Me Please, which I don't know if that's still available, but I think I would go for the mono pressing of this if you can find it. But I don't know, some of the ratios might be amazing, but in terms of the music, I would start here. Be a good place to start. Something sampled. So, funnily enough, if I just go over here, I've just bought this LP, Your Bum Loves So Sure by Public Enemy, and on the song Public Enemy number 1, it samples a tune from this album, Blow Your Head by Fred Wesley and the JBs. It kind of really distorts and subverts the original kind of distorted keyboard intro of Blow Your Head, but it's very audibly taken from that LP. So, I mean, this is an amazing LP. If you like rap music, this is a sensational LP by effectively the JBs, but Monica is Fred Wesley and the JBs, and one of the quintessential James Brown or JBs LPs in my opinion. So yeah, sample for Public Enemy number 1 was Blow Your Head by Fred Wesley and the JBs. What is the next question I hear you ask? When I can get my iPad to work, I will tell you. 2 ticks. And my iPad is locked. So sweet harmonies. I mean, these prevail throughout soul music, right? It's what it was about, especially in the 60s. You could select any number of Motown or Stax tracks or Atlantic Records, Muscle Shoals tracks, because it's what soul does. I thought I would go for what many regard as the greatest harmony group ever. Some regard, by the way, it's all subjective, which is the Temptations, but something a bit left field by the Temptations, or certainly not the obvious stuff you might choose, and that is the Masterpiece LP by the Temptations from 1973. It's really Norman Whitfield's Biekel, this, produced and essentially written by Norman Whitfield, and the Temptations are used really as musical instruments within his canvas. And the great thing about the harmonies on this is what he does is he just darts their voices in and out of the mix, especially on the mammoth title track, which I think takes up an entire side, or most of the side masterpiece takes up, yeah, it's almost 14 minutes long. It's one of two tracks on that side, but if you listen to how Norman Whitfield uses the range of voices of what was the Temptations in 1972, drops them into the mix. So not what you conventionally see are harmonies, but just amazing use of voices as an instrument is why I've selected that one. Modern Soul album. I mean, we're in a great period for Modern Soul, actually. I thought 6-inch Pianist showed a really good LP. Jimmy and the Numbers, which I also have on vinyl. And there's all of this this neo soul, Duran Jones, for example, and the Delvin Lamar organ trio, Black Pumas, some amazing soul music out there. But I've gone for actually a modern funk outfit on the Coal Mine label. These chaps are from San Diego, and they're a 9-piece instrumental funk horn band. They're called the Surefire Soul Ensemble, and this is the LP Step Down, which I think came out in 2019. I think I remember buying this somewhere around lockdown, or maybe slightly later, but this is an amazing LP. It's kind of a bit like the JBs. It's all instrumental, funk driven, but also it's got some of that Stax house band sound to it as well, and kind of a southern sound to it as well, a bit of Crusader running through it as well. But they're an amazing 9-piece band, the Surefire Soul Ensemble. Final question was, in a pub on a Friday night, if you can pick one thing to play on a jukebox to end the night, what would it be? And I'm going to choose a track from this Crusaders LP, Street Life, and the track is My Lady. The Crusaders, when you get into their stuff, they're such an amazing band. You had an amazing drummer in Stix Huber, Joe Sample on keys, Willem Felder, so an amazing rhythm section and horn section, and just amazing arrangers in their own right. And My Lady would just be a perfect way to end the night. It's got that kind of urban street sound to it. It's got some great use of harmonies within there, but it's really mostly an instrumental track. But yeah, My Lady by Crusaders, I was in the pub, would be an amazing way to end the evening. So that's it. That's my soul and funk Vinyl Tag 2025. I'm hoping to do a lot more posts during 2025, starting soon with a hi-fi room and system tour of this very room I'm standing in. And I've got so much music that I bought during 2024. I've got endless amounts of potential content to use. So look forward to sharing that with you. So with that, look forward to seeing some other vinyl tags. And I wish everybody the happiest and safest of New Year's into 2025. Bye-bye.